I suddenly decided to go meet my girlfriend at her parents' house. But when I arrived, I was shocked to see that a party was going on, and my girlfriend was enjoying herself, hand in hand with her ex. When she noticed me, she shouted, "What are you doing here?" I was holding an envelope. I handed it to her without saying a single word, then turned around and left. Later that night, her best friend messaged me and revealed a shocking truth about what happened at the party after I was gone. I'm 28 years old, work in supply chain management, and until 3 weeks ago, I thought I had my life figured out. I'd been dating Natasha for 2 years. We lived 40 minutes apart, saw each other most weekends, and talked about moving in together by spring. Everything felt solid. Or so I believed. Natasha came from money, not obscene wealth, but the kind where her parents owned a restored Victorian in the suburbs with a wine cellar and a landscaped garden. I'd been to their house maybe 4 times total. Her father was polite but distant, her mother warm but always busy. They never seemed thrilled about me, but they were civil. Natasha always said they just needed time to warm up. I believed her because I wanted to. About 3 months ago, things started feeling different. She'd cancel plans last minute. Family dinners, her cousin's baby shower. Just a girls' night. That ran until 2 a.m. I'm not paranoid by nature, but when someone who used to text you constantly starts giving one-word replies, you notice. When I asked if something was wrong, she'd smile and say she was stressed about work. Her firm had been going through restructuring. People were getting laid off, so it made sense. I let it go. I trusted her. 2 weeks before everything fell apart, I got promoted. My boss called me into his office on a Wednesday afternoon and told me I'd be taking over the regional division. More money, better title, actual career growth. The kind of opportunity that doesn't come around often. I was ecstatic. The first person I wanted to tell was Natasha. I called her during my lunch break, practically shouting into the phone. She said, "That's amazing, babe," but her voice sounded flat. Distracted, like she was reading off a script while doing something else. "Are you okay?" I asked. "Yeah, just busy. Let's celebrate this weekend, okay?" That weekend never came. She said her mom needed help organizing something at the house. Then the weekend after, she had a migraine. By the third weekend, I stopped asking. I told myself she was going through something and just needed space. That's what you do when you love someone, right? You give them room to breathe. On a Thursday afternoon, I got an email from a jeweler confirming my appointment for Saturday at 2 p.m. I'd been looking at rings for a month. Nothing crazy expensive, but meaningful. A simple band with a small sapphire, her birthstone. I'd saved up, done the research, even asked her best friend, Lauren, what style Natasha liked. I wanted to propose in December, somewhere quiet and personal, maybe at the park where we had our first date. I decided I'd surprise her that Saturday. Show up at her parents' house with flowers, maybe take her out to lunch, just reconnect. I missed her. I genuinely missed her. I thought maybe she'd been pulling away because she sensed I was planning something and felt nervous about the future. I wanted to reassure her that whatever she was worried about, we could work through it together. Saturday came. I canceled the jeweler appointment. I'd reschedule for next week. I bought a bouquet of tulips, her favorite, from the flower shop near my apartment. The woman who worked there tied them with a white ribbon and told me I was a lucky guy. I bought 2 tickets to a concert Natasha had been talking about for months. Some indie band she loved was playing in January. I put them in a simple envelope. I thought it'd be a nice gesture, something to look forward to together, proof that I was paying attention. When I pulled up to her parents' house just after noon, I noticed cars lining the street. Lots of them. BMW sedans, a Tesla, a vintage Jaguar that probably cost more than my annual salary. My stomach tightened. I parked a block away and walked up the driveway. Music was playing, not loud, but audible through the windows. Laughter carried on the breeze. I hadn't been invited to anything. Natasha hadn't mentioned a party. I walked around to the side gate, which was slightly open. The backyard was full of people. Maybe 30 or 40 guests, all dressed casually but nice. Sundresses, linen blazers, cocktail attire. There were string lights hung between trees, a long table with appetizers, shrimp cocktail, fancy cheeses, a small bar setup with a bartender in a vest. It looked like a garden party. The kind you plan weeks in advance. The kind you send invitations for. And there, near the back patio, I saw her. Natasha was standing next to a guy I recognized from photos she'd shown me once, a long time ago. His name was Troy, her ex-boyfriend from college. They dated for 3 years before breaking up when he moved to California for work. She told me it ended amicably, that they barely talked anymore, that it was ancient history. I'd never felt threatened by him because she made it sound like a closed chapter. They were holding hands. Not casually. Not like old friends greeting each other. Their fingers were interlaced, the way couples do when they're comfortable with each other. He was leaning in, whispering something in her ear. She laughed, that bright, genuine laugh I hadn't heard in months, and tilted her head against his shoulder. Her mother stood a few feet away, smiling at them like she was watching a scene from a romantic movie. Her father was talking to another couple, but kept glancing over at Natasha and Troy with obvious approval. I stood there frozen, hidden partially behind a hedge near the fence, trying to process what I was seeing. My brain couldn't catch up. I'd driven 40 minutes with flowers and concert tickets, expecting to surprise my girlfriend, and instead I was watching her be intimate with someone else at a party I didn't know existed. Then she turned her head. Our eyes met. Her face went white. For a split second, she looked genuinely terrified. Then her expression shifted into something defensive, almost angry, like I'd done something wrong by being there. She dropped Troy's hand and started walking toward me quickly, her heels clicking against the stone pathway. "What are you doing here?" she said loudly. People nearby stopped talking. Heads turned. I could feel their eyes on me. Troy looked confused, glancing between Natasha and me like he was trying to solve a puzzle. I didn't say anything. I just stood there, holding the tulips in one hand and the envelope in the other. She stopped a few feet away from me, arms crossed over her chest. "I asked you a question," she said, quieter now, but still sharp. "Why are you here?" I looked past her at Troy, who was watching us with his hands in his pockets. Then at her mother, who had her hand over her mouth, eyes wide. Then back at Natasha. Her jaw was tight. She looked cornered. I held out the envelope. She didn't take it at first, just stared at it like it might explode. "What is that?" she asked. I still didn't speak. I pushed it toward her until she finally grabbed it. Her fingers brushed against mine for a second, and I pulled my hand back like I'd touched something hot. Then I turned around and walked back down the driveway. My legs felt like they weren't attached to my body. "Wait," she called after me, but I didn't stop. I got in my car, tossed the tulips onto the passenger seat, and drove home. My hands were shaking so badly I had to pull over twice. The first time was at a red light where I just sat there even after it turned green, staring at the steering wheel until someone honked behind me. The second time was in a grocery store parking lot where I sat for 20 minutes, staring at nothing, trying to remember how to breathe properly. That night, around 11 p.m., my phone buzzed. It was Lauren, Natasha's best friend. We'd always gotten along. She was straightforward, funny, didn't sugarcoat things or play games. She'd told me once that I was the best boyfriend Natasha had ever had, which at the time made me feel good. Now it felt like a cruel joke. The message said, "Can I call you?" I didn't want to talk to anyone, but something in my gut told me to answer. I typed back, "Sure." She called within seconds. "Hey," she said softly. "I'm so sorry." "For what?" "For not telling you sooner." She paused, and I could hear voices in the background. "I was at the party. I saw what happened. After you left, everything exploded." I sat up straighter on my couch. "What do you mean?" She opened the envelope in front of everyone. When she saw the concert tickets, she started crying. Like, full-on sobbing. Her mom asked what was wrong, and Natasha couldn't even speak. She just held the tickets and cried. Her dad looked furious. Troy looked confused. It was a mess. What did she say? Eventually she said she didn't know what she was doing. That she'd made a huge mistake. Her mom tried to calm her down, but Natasha just kept saying, "I ruined everything," over and over. "What mistake?" I asked, even though part of me didn't want to know. Lauren hesitated. I could hear her moving, probably going somewhere more private. "Troy came back into town a month ago. He reached out to her, said he wanted to reconnect. At first it was just coffee, catch up, whatever. Innocent stuff. But then he told her he regretted leaving. That moving to California was the biggest mistake of his life. That he'd always loved her, and he wanted to try again." My chest felt tight. And she didn't tell me. No, she didn't. Her parents were thrilled. They always loved Troy. They thought he was perfect for her. Same background, same social circle, same everything. They started pressuring her, saying you were nice, but not the right fit for their family. That Troy was more stable, more established, that he understood their world better. So she just what? Started seeing him again. Not exactly. She didn't cheat on you. Not physically, at least. I asked her directly because I needed to know. She swore nothing physical happened. But emotionally? Yeah. She was having long phone calls with him. Meeting him for coffee. Her parents kept inviting him to things. She got caught up in this fantasy of going back to something familiar. I felt sick. And today's party? Her parents planned it. They called it a garden party, but really it was a way to reintroduce Troy and Natasha to their social circle. Like they were already back together. Like you didn't exist. Natasha knew about it for 2 weeks. She agreed to come. She told me she was planning to break up with you this week, that she just didn't know how to do it. The words hit me like a physical blow. She was going to break up with me. Yeah, but seeing you show up like that, with flowers and those tickets, I think it broke something in her. She realized what she was throwing away. Troy left the party, by the way. He was pissed. Told Natasha he wasn't going to be anyone's backup plan and that she needed to figure out what she wanted. Good for him. Her dad started yelling at her after you left. Said she embarrassed them in front of their friends. That she needed to make a decision. Natasha locked herself in the bathroom. I had to go in and calm her down. She kept saying she cared about you, that she didn't mean for it to happen like this, but she didn't know what she wanted anymore. Did she send you to tell me this? No. She doesn't know I'm calling. I just thought you deserved to know the truth. You're a good guy. You didn't deserve to be blindsided like that. We talked for another 15 minutes. Lauren told me that Natasha's parents had been manipulating her for weeks, planting doubts about our relationship, romanticizing her history with Troy. That Natasha felt torn between what her parents wanted and what she thought she wanted. That she'd been too cowardly to have an honest conversation with me. She wants to talk to you, Lauren said before we hung up. She's been texting me nonstop asking if I've heard from you. I don't want to talk to her. I figured. I just thought I'd mention it. Thanks for calling. Really? Yeah. Take care of yourself, okay? Update 1. Natasha texted me the next morning. A long, rambling message about how sorry she was, how confused she'd been, how she never meant to hurt me. She said her parents had manipulated her, that she realized now how much she loved me, that Troy meant nothing, and she'd been stupid to let him back into her life. I didn't reply. She called 4 times that day. I let every call go to voicemail. Each message was more desperate than the last. In the final one, she was crying so hard I could barely understand her words. By Monday, her mother called me. That surprised me. She'd never called me directly before. Her voice was tight, formal, like she was calling a business associate. I think you owe Natasha a conversation, she said without preamble. I don't owe her anything. You embarrassed her in front of our friends and family. She's been devastated. I laughed. Actually laughed out loud. I embarrassed her? You showed up uninvited to a private event. To visit my girlfriend. At her parents' house. Where apparently everyone knew about a party except me. Where my girlfriend was holding hands with her ex while we were still together. She went quiet for a moment. That's not. It's more complicated than that. Is it? Because from where I stood, it looked pretty simple. Your daughter held hands with her ex in front of a crowd while we were still together. And you stood there smiling like you were watching your dream come true. Troy is a good man from a good family. And I'm what? Not good enough. You know what? You're right. I'm not good enough for someone who doesn't have the guts to break up with me before moving on. So yeah, I guess we agree on something. I hung up. Blocked her number. Blocked Natasha's too. Then I blocked Natasha on every social media platform I could think of. Lauren checked in on me a few days later. She told me Natasha and Troy weren't speaking. That her parents were furious with her for ruining everything and making them look bad in front of their friends. That Natasha had been crying for days, refusing to leave her apartment, calling in sick to work. I think she really does regret it, Lauren said carefully. Good, I replied. She should. That's fair. Is she expecting me to forgive her? To take her back? I don't know what she's expecting. I think she's just miserable. That's not my problem anymore. Lauren was quiet for a second. You're right. It's not. I'm sorry I brought it up. No. I appreciate you keeping me in the loop. I'm done. I can't be with someone who needed to lose me to realize what she had. I get it. For what it's worth, I told her she screwed up the best thing she had going. That made me feel slightly better. At least someone in her life was being honest with her. Update 2-3 weeks later, I went to the jeweler and canceled the ring order. The woman who helped me looked sad when I explained what happened. She gave me back most of my deposit. I used the money to book a solo trip to Montana. I'd always wanted to go hiking there, see the mountains, disconnect from everything. I spent 5 days in Glacier National Park, hiking trails, not thinking about anything except where to put my feet next. I watched the sunrise from a ridge on my 3rd day there, just me and the mountains and the cold morning air. It was the first time in weeks I felt like I could breathe properly. When I got back, Lauren texted me. Natasha is dating someone new. Some guy from her gym named Chad. Thought you should know in case you hear about it somewhere else. 3 weeks. It had been 3 weeks since the party, and she was already with someone new. I appreciated Lauren giving me the heads up. She'd been a real friend through all this. I didn't feel angry when I read the message. I didn't feel sad. I just felt done, like a chapter had finally closed. A few days ago, I matched with someone on a dating app. Her name's Simone. She's a 4th grade teacher, has a dog named Biscuit, and laughs at my terrible jokes. We've been texting nonstop. Our conversations feel easy, natural. She actually responds to my messages. She asks questions about my day and seems genuinely interested in the answers. We're getting coffee this weekend. I don't know if it'll go anywhere. I'm not rushing into anything. But it feels good to talk to someone who's actually present, who doesn't play games, who isn't juggling multiple versions of her life to please different people. I haven't thought about Natasha in days. And when I do, I don't miss her. I miss the person I thought she was. But that person probably never existed. She was just a version of herself she showed me, the version she thought I wanted to see. I kept the concert tickets, not out of sentimentality. I just forgot they were in my jacket pocket. Last week, I gave them to a coworker whose daughter loves that band. My coworker almost cried. Said I'd made her daughter's year, that tickets had been sold out for months. That felt better than any closure I could have gotten from Natasha. I don't know what she's doing now. I don't care. Lauren stopped updating me, which I appreciated. Whatever Natasha's going through, whatever choices she's making, that's not my problem anymore. The tulips died in my car. I forgot about them for 3 days. When I finally remembered, they were wilted and brown, the white ribbon stained. I threw them in a dumpster behind my apartment and didn't think twice about it. Sometimes I think about that moment in her parents' backyard, standing there with flowers and concert tickets while she held hands with someone else. How small I felt. How stupid. But then I remember that I showed up with love and intention, ready to invest in our future, while she was already planning her exit. I didn't do anything wrong. I just loved someone who wasn't brave enough to love me back the way I deserved. That's on her, not me.